Welcome to the Your Home Sold Guaranteed radio show, where you get advice you can trust from the Capital Region's leading experts in real estate and all related fields. From the latest real estate trends to the best mortgage rates, from curb appeal to home warranty, this is the talk show that will help you save and make the most when it comes to buying or selling your most valuable asset. Now, here's your host, broker and founder of Your Home Sold Guaranteed Realty, the property shop, John Bevilacqua.
Good morning. Good morning. Running into the studio. We had to sprint in here, Johnny.
Run.
Thought I was going to be late. Dave Kabikian is trying to corner me into coming on his show. I'd love to come on his show.
Yeah,
anytime he's solo, he can call me. I'm down. We got Kimmy Salerno in today.
Hey, Kim.
It's like an attorney party here.
That's how it should be.
She's giving me legal advice in the green room here.
Hey.
It's awesome. It's awesome.
Right. Yep.
In fact, we were actually reviewing a title for a property that's actually down in the Bronx. Believe it or not, I still do some deals down in the Bronx area. But
right.
The title is it's so important, right, Kimmy? It's
everything.
It's everything. It's the DNA of the property, right? It's the lifeblood. Like there's so much stuff that you can catch in the deed. Like in this one in particular, it's the neighboring property next door is trying to claim a restriction in the deed and has been kind of holding the next door neighbor, the owner, hostage. Mm-hmm. And so we waited 3-4 weeks for this title to come in and the report, and we got it.
Wow.
And basically what we figured out is we're going to call this guy's bluff because
I would.
Right?
I would call his bluff and tell him to produce the paper.
Yeah.
Because it's not in this search.
Yeah. So according to this deed, this guy they're trying to develop the property next door, and there was a height restriction in the deed. And the guy next door is trying to, kind of huff and puff so they wouldn't build next to him and block the windows.
Oh, I see.
Building.
Okay, yeah.
So now I think the seller's going to be really relieved when I tell him this, and plus the builders that have been blowing my phone up for this property because it's a hot property. So it's pretty interesting. It's making for a good topic right now. But we got a good show today because we're going to talk about the mysteries of the closing table, and eventually, if we ever have sound effects for the show, John, I would love to have some mystery music or something playing. But yeah, so the closing table has just always been, at least for me when I first got my license.
It's an experience.
It's an experience. I'm like, oh my god, I can't wait to get to a closing. Like what goes on in there, and it's interesting because it's you have two parties that are. Yeah. I got to do the microphone squat, but you have two parties that are, they're trading money for property. There's so much that goes into it.
We're
going to dive into that today.
All right.
Before we get into it, I know we're going to do a sponsor break. I just want to let you guys know real quick. Yeah, you know what? Let's do the sponsor break. I'm going to tell you guys about the home seller seminar that we got coming up after this sponsor break.
To schedule an appointment with John Bevilacqua to help you buy or sell your home, call 518-957-SOLD or go to johnnyhasthebuyers.com. John will be right back with more of the Your Home Sold Guaranteed radio show here on Magic 100.5 and AM 590.
Hey, it's John Tesh. If you're thinking of selling your home, let me take the stress out of deciding which agent to hire. In the Capital Region, the agent I recommend is John Bevilacqua, founder of Your Home Sold Guaranteed Realty at the Property Shop. So for 2 decades, John has helped more than 2,500 families buy and sell the place they call home. That's a solid track record, one that's backed up by dozens of 5-star reviews. Hello. In fact, John is so confident in his marketing system to attract the right buyer for your home that he guarantees to sell it at a price and deadline you agreed to, or he's going to buy it himself for cash. And he provides that guarantee in writing. The agent I trust is John Bevilacqua, and he's the agent you should trust too. His name is his promise. Your Home Sold Guaranteed Realty. So write this number down. It's 518-957-SOLD. That's easy. 518-957-7653. Or go to JohnnyHasTheBuyers.com. I love that one. JohnnyHasTheBuyers.com, and you'll get your home sold guaranteed.
Hi, I'm Matthew Stonecipher, owner of Ace Home Inspections. Whether you're buying or selling a home, let your agent know that you want to work with Ace Home Inspections because you insist on the best home inspection services in the Capital Region. You can also expect a home warranty, pest inspection, and mold assessment included at no additional cost. You deserve better than just a guy in a truck with a notepad. At Ace Home Inspections, we are fully staffed and here for you when you call 518-727-7091 or visit us online at acehomeny.com.
Finding the right mortgage can be stressful. What's really the best rate? Which term makes sense? Hi, I'm Ben Forcucci at Freedom One Funding in Latham. We work with 10 different lenders who provide 100 different mortgage products. I'll listen to what your needs are, and then I'll do the work to find the right option for your particular situation. We have special expertise in helping first-time home buyers. So eliminate the stress and call me today at 542-LOAN. I'm Ben Forcucci from Freedom One Funding, and I'll do the shopping for you. Call 542-LOAN.
If you're buying or selling your home and would like to schedule an appointment with John, call 518-957-SOLD or go to johnnyhasthebuyers.com. Now back to the Your Home Sold Guaranteed Radio Show and your host, John Bevilacqua.
Okay, guys, we're back. We were just talking during that spot break, but there is so much stuff that goes on during. And John brought up. I didn't even think about this angle of people getting angry with each other. People being so happy with each other.
Well, Kim is here to tell us. I mean, during a closing, you would still negotiate during a closing.
It happens, right, Kim?
Yep.
Well, and especially because right before a closing, people are doing their final walkthrough.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. And these days, there's almost always an issue on final walkthrough.
Hold that thought. If you guys have a story about your closing or you want to ask questions to Kim about your closing, 476-5900. It's a call-in show. We'd love to have your call. Love to hear your closing story. Give us a ring, 476-5900. Go ahead, Kim. Sorry about that.
Yeah, so a lot of the issues hopefully when we've got your closing scheduled, any issues have already been worked out. So any remaining issues usually come up at final walkthrough.
Okay.
And what's the most common issue at a final walkthrough? Sellers leave the house a mess.
Yes.
They leave
furniture.
A mess. Had it happen yesterday.
Okay.
Had cash buyers buying an investment property. There was garbage, debris, inside and outside the house.
Mm-hmm.
But aren't they told to leave it broom clean?
Broom swept clean is the term, but
that's the term. But I think that has a different meaning to each individual person.
That's pretty generic.
I'm sure.
Yeah. And unfortunately, this happens more often than we'd like to see.
Yes.
So the easiest way is to negotiate a credit.
Okay.
So, and we did. We negotiated a $500 credit. That's what, I said, because it depends how much is left. Do you have to, call and get a receptacle delivered, and then do you have to pay people to move things out, which I had happen last week, or is it just things that you can handle on your own?
Yeah, but a lot of times people don't have the money to give the credit. Then what, right? How many times have you gotten that situation?
That does happen,
Yep.
And then it's up to the buyers. If they're not willing to give anything, do you still want to go forward with the purchase?
Yeah. And that could be a sticking point, a big one.
Mm-hmm.
I've helped clients move furniture, and I know one of my agents, Dave McKenzie, we had that deal out.
Oh, sure. And that's great.
Yeah.
That's great.
And we do that. Like, it's above and beyond, but we're here to help them and get the closing done. And it's unfortunate when the seller does leave the house a wreck, and that's just like one little issue in my opinion with closings is the final walkthrough is definitely something, but there's always there's so much preparation that needs to go into the closing, right? It's something as simple as how much money do I bring to the closing table, right? Talk about the closing disclosure and how all that getting the money to line up. And
well, with the closing disclosure, we tried, the banking industry tried to change that where, you have to have the closing disclosure 3 days before closing.
Remember that.
And the hopes in doing that was to alleviate all that last minute stress of running last minute to get your certified check. Mm-hmm. But unfortunately, it still happens. Usually we don't have that final amount because when you're getting ready for your closing, most times, if you have to bring a check for more than $500, it has to be in the form of a certified check.
Correct.
You have to go to your bank and get that certified check, and the amount of that check and to who it's made payable to comes from our office.
Okay.
All right. We normally don't get that from the bank until the day before, if we're lucky, or the morning of.
Yeah.
And we're dealing with a client when, they're already super stressed out, and now it's like waiting for that amount, and it's like, we're stressed out for them.
Yeah, and they're like they got to go to work that day, then they got to make a trip to the bank to get a certified check, and it's crazy.
Yeah, I wish it was different, but unfortunately in New York that's how it's structured.
The great state of New York.
Yes.
Right. So that's huge, right? It's getting the money correct. It's the final walkthrough. We talked about title. By that time, though, at the closing table, title's usually worked out. Am I correct? Or is there sometimes where there could be some last minute surprises.
Typically not with title, because the title search. Our office orders the title search upon receipt of the contract. We get that ordered. That gets reviewed. That usually comes in within 2 weeks. I mean, the title we were talking about took a little longer because it was from downstate.
Downstate, yep.
But that comes in, we review it, and then we prepare a report. And if there's any issues, any title issues that come up in the report, we send that over to the other attorney, seller's attorney, and the lender, and then they have time to address any issues. Mm-hmm. We typically can't close until those issues are resolved.
Right. So in the grand scheme of things, the title's not that big of a stall, but usually I feel like the biggest kind of staller is financing, right? Mm-hmm. Is that where you guys that's where the bottleneck is?
Yeah, I mean, that's, and I always say to them, when I'm reviewing a contract, because they want to say, I'm like, okay, let's go over your next steps. Unless you've waived inspections, you got to do, make sure you do your inspections. And I kind of describe it as, you've got 2 parallel lanes you're in. One, keep moving forward with inspections. And then the other lane is right from the get-go, work with your loan officer. You've got your most work with them because they're so highly regulated. They have a list of documents that they need from you.
Yeah. So
just work with them all the way through. And then, when that goes to underwriting, there may be more conditions that they have to satisfy as well.
Yeah. And we kind of skipped over this and jumped right into it, but what is the real definition of the closing, and as the attorney, what's the function?
Well, I mean, we're with them from the beginning. When we get the contract,
we throw around the term closing. It's closing. But what's really happening legally?
So the closing is it's a target date in your contract. Mm-hmm. I always take a few minutes, go over that date. This is what we're all aiming for. Mm-hmm. Most transactions have financing involved. Mm-hmm. When you have financing, I explain, I don't have it in my control to schedule you until we get that green light from your lender. Mm-hmm. Once we get that green light, we schedule you for your closing. Mm-hmm. The closing is when all parties agree on numbers, title's all set, and then we have the final date, and that's when, we all attend. Most times there's some mail-away closings, but we all attend the closing.
Yeah. And what are those magic words that you're looking to hear?
It's called clear to close, baby.
That's everybody's favorite song when we're getting that close.
Make sure your ducks are in a row.
Yeah, really.
In that closing room.
Yeah, because
both sides.
Yeah, because John. I mean, a little background on John. His wife was a closing coordinator for a mortgage company years ago, but he used to get the kitchen table stories all the time of people fighting at the closing, buyers walking out.
No, and we don't want to scare anybody about a closing.
No,
you just
exactly.
Make sure you have all your ducks in a row.
And John brought up a good point, because he said his wife would come home and her biggest complaint was the people that had the worst attorneys had the worst experiences at their closing.
Yeah, I would say that's true. Yeah,
and that's why our team is so special to me. Kim on the law side, Ben Forcucci Kim and Ben work together in harmony. So it's getting through a transaction with your home sold guaranteed realty, the property shop.
Yeah.
Our team is going to ensure that nobody's beating each other up at the closing table. There's not going to be drama and that type of thing.
Sure.
But speaking of which, and I want to pitch this really quick, we have a home sellers seminar coming up.
Good.
It's going to be all over Magic 100.5, 95.5 B. You guys are going to hear a blitz campaign. So it's going to be October 26th. It's a Thursday from 5 to 7 p.m. It's going to be at GCAR, the Greater Capital Association of Realtors. It's going to be right in their training room. It's open to the public. Kim's going to be there. Ben Forcucci, Matt Stone-Cipher, all of our vendor teams are there. Yeah, so we're going to go over
all the guys. Yeah,
we're going to go over how to what the tips and tricks on how to sell your home for top dollar in the quickest amount of time, least amount of hassle, so there's no drama at the closing. Home staging, home prep. The importance of pre-inspecting your home, right, Kim? I mean, how
Absolutely.
many times the pre-inspection's huge? You can save yourself so much time and money and energy just by having the home pre-inspected. So we're going to cover all that stuff and a lot more. Ben Patton's going to be there for Magic. Him and Chad O'Hara from 95.5. They're going to be doing trivia. We're going to be doing some giveaways. Yep. It's going to be fun. Light refreshments. Listen, it's free.
By.
Come by. What do you got to lose? If you're considering you're selling it, you're selling it tomorrow, it's going to be 6 months down the road.
Yep.
Come and get some free information. Come meet us. And, again,
what it's all about.
I always say, that's what I'm here for. We're not bragging. We're just applying for the job of selling your home. So on that note, I know we got to take a break here. So because John's going to start yelling at me if we don't take a break. When we come back, Kim and I are going to talk about a couple more closing, issues, some common issues, and then some tips on how to resolve that so you guys can have a smooth transaction on the Your Home Sold Guaranteed Radio Real Estate Talk Show.
To schedule an appointment with John Bevilacqua to help you buy or sell your home, call 518-957-SOLD or go to johnnyhasthebuyers.com. John will be right back with more of the Your Home Sold Guaranteed Radio Show here on Magic 100.5 and AM 590.
Finding the right mortgage can be stressful. What's really the best rate? Which term makes sense? Hi, I'm Ben Forcucci at Freedom One Funding in Latham. We work with 10 different lenders who provide 100 different mortgage products. I'll listen to what your needs are, and then I'll do the work to find the right option for your particular situation. We have special expertise in helping first-time home buyers. So eliminate the stress and call me today at 542-LOAN. I'm Ben Forcucci from Freedom One Funding, and I'll do the shopping for you. Call 542-LOAN.
Buying or selling the place you call home can be stressful. When you have questions, you don't want to wait for answers. Well, for 20 years, Kim Salerno and her team at Salerno Law have built a solid reputation with buyers, sellers, and real estate agents as fast, respectful communicators. They know Salerno Law will protect their rights and respond quickly when a question arises. Trust Salerno Law. Call 518-309-3404 and check out their 5-star reviews at SalernoLawNY.com.
If you're buying or selling your home and would like to schedule an appointment with John, call 518-957-SOLD or go to johnnyhasthebuyers.com. Now back to the Your Home Sold Guaranteed Radio Show and your host, John Bevilacqua.
Okay, guys, we're back. I do want to encourage the call-in aspect of this show. It's so much more fun when people call in. 476-5900. We're talking about the mysteries of the closing table. What happens in a closing? What are some of the common issues? Kim's going to get into some tips on how to make sure your closing goes smoothly. But I think everybody's got a story about, when they bought their house or when they sold their house, right? It's interesting. I don't want to get into my story because I don't know if it's appropriate for the air, but there was definitely some funny stuff that happened when I bought my house and with the seller and everything else. But
it's important to have a good real estate attorney.
Yes, and we can't preach that enough.
That's right.
So, I think we covered some of the big issues. The final walkthrough, right? That's always gonna it could sometimes slow things down. And, we didn't talk about timing with the final walkthrough. When do you suggest the realtor and the buyer does the final walkthrough? A lot of them like to do the morning of the closing. Mm-hmm. I'm not a big fan of that. I just think that it's not enough time to figure out if there's something wrong. What's your take on that?
I kind of agree with that. Yeah. I mean, if you can do it the day before, that's even better. You want to do it as close to the closing as you can, just so you can see the house in its current condition.
Right.
But you also want to, if there's issues, you want to give time to, attorneys and agents to be able to resolve the issues as well.
100%. Because if you got to get a dumpster over there,
right,
and there's a big clean out situation, and I remember the deal we did in Cohoes where they made the buyer go back like 5 times to take stuff out of the basement. It wasn't even relevant. It was an investment property. They made him take out like pallets that were down in there that he left down there on purpose.
Some people are like that.
They wanted it, the basement broom swept clean, and the poor guy had to go back 5 times.
Yep. Take everything out.
Take everything out. Yeah. So with that being said, unexpected delays could be the lending, could be something as simple as I don't know. There's been a million things I could off the top of my head. I can't think of anything, but any protection against wire fraud? You ever had any issues like that when people are wiring? Does that come up at all?
I mean, with wiring, they because a lot of times, if we have a cash deal,
when we're talking wiring, we're talking about wiring money from bank to bank.
Bank to bank.
I'm talking about electrical.
There's a lot of cash deals in this market.
Right.
So, so when you're buying in cash, you kind of step into the shoes of the bank, and you would have to go to your bank and get, around 10 certified checks. So as a courtesy to my clients, I say, if you want, wire the funds into my attorney escrow account.
Okay.
All right. And then we'll cut the checks for you. Our attorney escrow checks are like certified checks. So whenever there's a wire, you need to call us and verify it.
Okay.
Because some people, they're very savvy. They'll send you an email with one letter off and have different wire instructions, and then your money's gone.
Yeah, that's what I'm talking about. That's why I thought this was important to talk about. Go ahead, keep going.
Yeah, so that's wiring money into my account, or a lot of times what we do, if we act as bank attorney, we have to wire a lot. We'll wire to pay a mortgage payoff.
Okay.
We'll wire that out. So we'll call that mortgage company just to verify those instructions. Anytime you're wiring, you should call and verify just to make sure you haven't gotten, a scam email, because they're very savvy. And, once that money's gone, it's gone.
You're not getting it back. And we're not talking about a couple grand.
No.
We're talking sometimes hundreds of thousands of dollars.
Yeah.
So it's huge to really take care of that. And title insurance, we didn't cover title insurance. Is that sometimes, I know we talked about title, but
Johnny, you're throwing a lot.
I'm
Yeah.
trying to give our listeners as much as we can here.
You're good. You're good.
Right.
Yeah, so if you're financing, your lender will require what's called title insurance. All right, they're loaning you all this money. They want to minimize their risk. Any title issues come up, they don't want to have to go and get their own litigator to defend that ownership of the land and the title.
Right.
So they want to have an insurance policy to protect them, so they can just call, hey, I'm an agent for Stewart Title. So they've got that in their hand. They would just call Stewart Title, or they would really call me, and I would file the claim for them.
Right.
So a lender's title insurance protects the lender. Does not protect you as the owner, so that's separate. That's owner's title insurance.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, so we offer both to our clients. I highly, highly recommend that my clients get owner's title insurance, because there's almost always title issues that come up.
Yeah, and Kim has a separate title company that handles all this, KBS Abstract. That's why I always recommend Kim, because she's got title in-house. It speeds up the process. She knows that.
And we appreciate that.
We appreciate that. So let's talk about some tips, right? Because we know how quick the first half of the show went. What can people do to prepare for their closing so this thing goes smoothly and we're not hitting these road bumps or these potholes? So,
best thing you can do right off the bat, get yourself an attorney that specializes in real estate.
Okay.
When we're dealing with attorneys on the other side
and Kim's not pitching herself on this. She's saying, if you're not using her, go find somebody else that is a real estate attorney.
Yeah,
there's so many jack of all trades out there, and there is.
Yep.
Yeah, and I have a number of colleagues that are excellent. We can also recommend other real estate attorneys we work wonderful with, and they know what they're doing. That's the biggest thing. If you're working with a family friend that hardly, they just dabble in real estate, they don't know how important these contingency dates are.
Yeah.
Or that target close date. What if we're using an attorney that's in court?
Yeah.
That can delay your closing for a good week, 2 weeks.
Yes.
And we've had it happen.
Yeah.
So I would say number one, work with a real estate attorney.
Okay.
Absolutely.
I say number two is communication. Communicate.
Oh, yeah.
Right?
Oh,
It's always, at least for us on the transaction side of the coin with being the agent, it's just having you can't communicate enough with everybody, right? And that's the beauty about Kim. It's like, I could text her, I could email her, I can call her. She doesn't get back to me right away. It's usually within 24 hours or less, right? If not, I'm calling Sheila in the office, and she's like, I'll find her, Johnny.
Right.
We'll get her on the phone for you.
Yep.
So, communication's huge, not only, with the lender, with the attorney, with your clients, but just, the worst is when no one's talking. Right, then nothing gets done.
Yeah, and it's all the way around. I mean, and if I'm not getting right back to you, it's because I'm in a closing. Right. But I've got my team. I've got Sheila, that answers the phones, although we just hired a new person.
Oh.
Yep, Karen. And Karen just started this week. She's going to be our new receptionist.
Okay.
All right. And we've got Sheila and we've got Jordan. Jordan is our closer.
Always.
She should be here. She's got lots of stories.
Yes, she does. Oh, my God. I know. It's a story every week with you guys. How about double checking the closing disclosure? I mean, or just, again, like having the numbers ready as soon as possible, right?
Right. So you really can't prepare the numbers until we have the closing date scheduled. Once we get that green light from the lender, hey, bank attorney, what days and times do you have available? Then we go right to our client. What works best with your schedule? And then we circle around to the seller side. Once we get that scheduled, everybody can prepare their numbers. We need that specific date so we can prorate taxes and, make adjustments, add interest to the mortgage payoff, things like that.
Yeah. And and I say this in jest, but you got to kind of be like Axl Rose with these with these closings and have some patience, because this stuff takes time, right?
Oh, yeah.
And
Oh,
people
yeah.
get antsy. Yeah. And you said it best when we were talking in the green room, Kim, like a closing and transaction, it's almost like a pregnancy, right?
Oh, sure.
Explain what that means.
Well, you got to be patient, and things don't happen. You know, I know a lot of us love instant gratification. That is not how a closing transaction works.
Yep.
There's a process to it.
There's a process.
And you have to be patient, and when the closing date is ready, that's when it happens.
That's when it happens, yeah. So don't get caught up on the dates of your contract, because those dates are kind of floats.
Yeah,
right?
they're fluid.
They're targets.
Yeah.
So we say, like, you know, the closing date's going to be this, but it's probably not going to close on that. Maybe before,
Don't
might be
take
after.
that day off. Don't schedule your movers until you check with us.
But speaking about after, we got to take a quick break here. After the break, we're going to wrap up the show, and we'll see you guys in about, I don't know, a minute.
To schedule an appointment with John Bevilacqua to help you buy or sell your home, call 518-957-SOLD or go to johnnyhasthebuyers.com. John will be right back with more of the Your Home Sold Guarantee radio show here on Magic 100.5 and AM 590.
Hi, I'm Matthew Stonecipher, owner of Ace Home Inspections. Whether you're buying or selling a home, let your agent know that you want to work with Ace Home Inspections because you insist on the best home inspection services in the capital region. You can also expect a home warranty, pest inspection, and mold assessment included at no additional cost. You deserve better than just a guy in a truck with a notepad. At Ace Home Inspections, we are fully staffed and here for you when you call 518-727-7091 or visit us online at acehomeny.com.
Finding the right mortgage can be stressful. What's really the best rate? Which term makes sense? Hi, I'm Ben Forcucci at Freedom One Funding in Latham. We work with 10 different lenders who provide 100 different mortgage products. I'll listen to what your needs are, and then I'll do the work to find the right option for your particular situation. We have special expertise in helping first-time home buyers. So eliminate the stress and call me today at 542-LOAN. I'm Ben Forcucci from Freedom One Funding, and I'll do the shopping for you. Call 542-LOAN.
Buying or selling the place you call home can be stressful. When you have questions, you don't want to wait for answers. Well, for 20 years, Kim Salerno and her team at Salerno Law have built a solid reputation with buyers, sellers, and real estate agents as fast, respectful communicators. They know Salerno Law will protect their rights and respond quickly when a question arises. Trust Salerno Law. Call 518-309-3404 and check out their 5-star reviews at SalernoLawNY.com.
If you're buying or selling your home and would like to schedule an appointment with John, call 518-957-SOLD or go to johnnyhasthebuyers.com. Now back to the Your Home Sold Guaranteed radio show and your host, John Bevilacqua.
Okay, guys, we got to summarize this in a minute and a half, John says, so I got to talk fast, but
You always do.
you know, again, I want to wrap this up with the home seller seminar. I mean, guys, we have literally, like, with breaks and everything, like 20 minutes to talk on this show. And Kim and I we scratch the surface. Ben and I scratch the surface. All the vendors. We're all going to be live in person on Thursday, October 26th at GCAR, Greater Capital Association of Realtor, from 5 to 7 o'clock. The radio talents are going to be here. Chad, Ben. We're going to do some giveaways, prizes. We're going to talk about how to sell your house for top dollar in the quickest amount of time, least amount of hassles, all the legal loopholes that you got to know about, how to get financed, how to get your home pre-inspected. We're going to cover all of that Thursday, October 26th. Now, you guys can call. You guys, actually, if you just go to johnnyhasthebuyers.com, johnnyhasthebuyers.com, there's a registration right on my main website. If you scroll down a little bit, you'll see register for the event now. Register. It's on Eventbrite. You guys can register on Eventbrite as well. This is free. It doesn't cost you anything. Either if you're looking to sell or if your neighbor is, your friend, bring them along.
Yeah, October 26th on a Thursday. What's the time?
5 to 7 p.m.
5 to 7,
Yep,
okay.
we figure,
There we go.
people getting out of work. It's a
Yeah,
good
it's
time.
good. Yeah.
Do we want to say where GCAR's located?
GCAR is on New Carner Road. So if you Google GCAR, I don't actually have the address on me, which is terrible. But if you go to the website, everything's right there, johnnyhasthebuyers.com. Or if you call 957-SOLD, 957-7653, the wonderful Brittany Ferris is on call. She will book the registration for you and get you signed up. So again, I want to thank Kim.
Thanks for having me.
Another great show. I think we covered the mysteries of the real estate closing. Next week, I got to talk to you, John, because I actually might have to call into the show next Saturday. But we do have a special guest.
We can do that.
I'm not gonna blow that. It's gonna be a teaser. But Kim, thank you again.
Thanks for
if
having
anybody
me.
wants to
It was great.
call the office, how can they get a hold of you?
Just give us a call at 518-309-3404, or you can email me at kim@salernolawny.com.
All right, guys, have a great Saturday, and thanks for listening.
Your Home Sold Guaranteed radio show is presented by Your Home Sold Guaranteed Realty, the property shop. Join broker and founder John Bevilacqua every Saturday morning at 8:30 to hear about the latest real estate trends here in the capital region, where to find the best mortgage rates, home insurance, home warranties, and more. To speak to John about buying or selling your home, call now to schedule an appointment. 518-957-SOLD. That's 518-957-7653. Or go to JohnnyHasTheBuyers.com. That's JohnnyHasTheBuyers.com.